Okay, hi everybody. Hi Ross.
Hello.
Okay, so this is Ross. Ross works with us as well on Playwright. And so today we have a very special video. So recently we released a new feature called component tests. And Ross promised to give us a walk around this new feature. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, excited.
Okay, so Ross, you mentioned that you built some websites specifically for this demo. I'm about to share your screen. Can you show us your website?
Yeah,
Okay, let me.
cool.
Yeah,
So,
can you zoom it in,
yeah, I
please?
can zoom
I
in.
don't. You
Yeah,
barely see it. Oh, nice, nice.
awesome.
Okay,
So, component testing is all about testing, React, Svelte, and Vue. So, I created a small app here with Create React App, and it's pretty minimal. We have an input up here. We can type in, like, let's say, we'll type in AC, and we'll search for U.S. national parks that have AC in the title. Hits
okay,
an API endpoint, makes an error request, and then these are the results. We have a little description about each of them. So it's nice and simple app.
okay. All built with React.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
So everything I see here is some kind of a React component, I guess.
Correct. Yeah. Let's actually go and check out the components in VS Code.
Okay.
So we have VS Code. Most of the files here were generated by Create React App, but these are the ones that I've opened are files and components that I built out. So let's go ahead and just quickly orient ourselves. Let me hide this window down here. Awesome. So we
Okay.
have part card. That corresponds to this card here. Like
Okay, this is
Acadia
simple.
is
Just a
one part card.
header and some text. So this is yeah.
Exactly. And it takes two prompts, a name and a description. So in this case, Acadia's
Sure.
name, and then here's the description. Nice and
Simple.
simple.
Yeah. Hmm.
Search, that component is the entire label, input, and then the submit button. It doesn't do any networking though. It just gets one prop on search.
Uh-huh.
And when you hit enter, that gets called back. And then we have everything is wrapped by app.tsx, which actually does the networking and ties all these components together.
Okay. Okay. Pretty
Make
simple.
sense?
Sure. Makes
Cool.
perfect sense. So now I assume we will test these components using the new Playwright feature.
Yes, exactly. So actually, let's go to the docs and see how to get started. So
Uh-huh.
let's pull up the new experimental component doc, how to get
Okay.
started. And we have a new init command that adds this --CT flag. And that will initialize some component testing specific things with
Okay.
Playwright. So let's go ahead and run this and get started.
So CT stands for components testing everywhere.
Exactly.
I see it. Uh-huh.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and run this.
Uh-huh.
Which framework do you want to use? We're to select React today, but if we were doing a Vue or Svelte app, we would choose differently.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Let's go install some stuff. Cool.
That was fast.
That was fast.
Yeah.
So
So
let's
what does
actually
it
see
do?
what
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
installed. So here are the changes. Package.json. We have a new command test-ct, and then a development dependency on @playwright experimental CT React. And this is a similar package to @playwright test, but we have some component testing specific fixtures and implementation in there. So everything just works out of the box.
Okay, sounds good.
And then we have a config. Again, this is going to look similar to your config from regular @playwright test, but we have some component testing specific things. And then you'll
So it looks
notice we
like
do have projects set up. So we have Chromium, Firefox, Safari. That's all fully supported. So we really are, cross-browser with these tests. And then we had index.html, index.ts. And these are entry point files for Playwright and specifically the component testing to know sort of how to set up your page before we start putting components into it.
okay, so shall we edit these?
Yeah, so normally when I'm running, create React app, we enter through create React apps index.tsx. And you'll notice that like for our apps implementation, we import some basic like themes to set up the page. When we do component testing, we're not gonna mount anything ourselves and enter from the app. We might just sort of render part card on a page. So we'll just sort of set up the page with the CSS just so it's there when our component renders, even if we're not like rendering it.
So it is a theming basically, component like styles.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick that here. We'll need to fix up this path.
Yeah. So why didn't you should fix normalize CSS, right, as well?
So actually, normalize.css is a node package, so that path is good.
Okay.
So but theme.css is in our project. Yeah.
I see.
So we can kind of that's it for configuration. We don't really need to think about it or touch anything else, and we can start writing tests.
Okay.
Sweet. So let's go ahead and write a test. We'll create a new file. We'll call it partcard.spec.tsx.
Okay. This is nice.
Yeah. And the first thing I'll do is import, test and expect.
Okay, so I want to double check. You put this file right next to your component.
Correct. I put my file next to my component. I put the .spec in the name because we have it configured to say any files with .spec. Those are going to be where our tests are going to live.
Okay.
And then let's go ahead and write a test. So we'll name it. It renders. And then we have this new mount fixture. So if you're using the Playwright test package, you wouldn't have a mount fixture by default, but this gives us mount by default. And you'll notice here, it takes a JSX element and then it returns a promise to a locator. And then we can sort of continue on our way and use that in our tests.
Okay, so this is basically the new thing that's been added to the Playwright test by this component test feature.
Yeah, and so it takes a JSX element. So I can actually like the part card that we had, that component, I can just put right in my Playwright test. And then
nice.
So part card is a JSX element, a React component. It takes some props. So let's give it some props.
Call it Playwright Park. Or just Playwright. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And then description, awesome park.
Yeah.
Cool. So we have a component that we can now write some assertions against. So let's just see that it contains, this text when it actually goes and renders. So we'll just say component to contain text Playwright Park.
Okay, I have a question. So what is this component is a locator, right?
Exactly.
So what is this locator pointing to?
So this locator is pointing to effectively my component that's in the page and rendered in the page. So I could, let's say like my card was clickable. I could actually say like component dot click, right? It's just a locator.
So the component points to the root DOM element of your rendered component.
Correct. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this case will be part card. So that ends up being, this article with this class name part card.
I follow.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go ahead and run the test. I'm just gonna click here. Awesome. It passes.
It was very fast, by the way.
Yeah, super fast.
Very nice. Okay, can we see it running? Like this is a real browser, you say? Can I like?
Yeah. So let's actually set a breakpoint here and step through the test. So I'll run it in debug mode. Cool. We should see a browser pop open. Awesome. Let me rearrange. And then zoom. Cool. All right, so
Okay,
we haven't
so-
started a test yet. Let's call
Wait,
mount.
you're about to power over. Okay, so mount actually mounted the component into the page. This is
Yeah,
very
now we
cool.
can see it rendered right here.
Why is it highlighted with blue?
It's highlighted with blue because
Oh,
in
this is your
our
cursor. I
extension,
see.
yeah. So if I
Yeah,
click
so you can.
component, it shows what's highlighted.
Oh, that's a very nice feature. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about it. That's nice.
And then right now we're waiting on the assertion. So let's actually go and run the assertion.
Oh, okay.
It
And
ran,
you
it
were
passed.
using web first assertion with the locator that was pointing to the root element of the component to make sure that it actually renders this text in a real browser.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
This is very nice. Okay, I'm very excited. What else will you show me?
Yeah. So let's check out
Let's test more. Yeah.
another example. So this component was just rendering, but the search component, we actually have some interaction. So let's actually try like clicking and interacting. So let's go ahead and create a new test here.
Search.
So normally I'd put maybe these in a separate file like search.spec.tsx, but I just want to keep everything together.
Wait, is it test to describe that you want to put?
Yes.
It's either okay. Oh, yeah. You had to put the async function there.
Cool. And then here we're going to actually put our first test for the search component. So we'll say submission works. What we want to do in this test is render the search bar and then click and see that our callback with our search term ends up in the callback. So we'll use our search component, and then it takes an onSearch callback function.
Okay.
And then let's actually set, we'll have a variable in Node called, let's say captured term. It'll be either string or null. Oops. Cool. And then let's set, when this callback is triggered, let's set the captured term to be
term. Yep.
Term. Cool.
Nicely auto formatted it for you.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like
super helpful.
Yeah.
So we have our component. Now let's actually go ahead and find the input in it.
Okay. Yes. Now
and
I
then
follow.
We'll fill it with Acadia.
Yes.
And then we will find our button. And then we will click. And finally, we expect our captured term to be Acadia.
Sure.
So this test makes sense. We're going to render this search component and then fill in Acadia, click submit, and then our onSearch callback should be called with Acadia. So let's go ahead and run it.
Yeah.
Cool. So it passes.
Okay, so just to reiterate here. So we have our JS6 here, which uses the search component, which we initialize with a callback that sets a variable inside our Node.js land. So line 14 is inside Node.js. Line 16 is mostly inside the browser, but there is some magic that actually moves this event back to the Node.js.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the magic under the hood. So Playwright Test in global setup is going to look at your test files. It's going to look for where you're calling mount and what components your tests are using.
Okay.
It builds up a list of the components you're using and where they live. And then it's going to compile and bundle them using Vite to then serve a local component bundle that it's going to run the tests against.
Okay.
So this is global setup. There's now a bundle being served with your components and a little empty facade page to go and run some coding. So let's actually look now at the mount fixture. So this is our whole test, but the important bit that we're going to walk through is what Playwright is doing for this mount call here. So this mount call roughly expands to the following Playwright code. So when the mount fixture is called, we're going to go to the facade web page. And then Playwright is going to tell the browser to actually, inside of the browser, call window.bundle.render. And it's going to pass a serialized version of your component. So just the name in this case, and then a serialized form of the props. For functions, it's sort of a handle. And then it's going to actually go and render your component in the page. And we're ready to run the rest of the test.
Okay, yeah. Magic, but I understand it now.
Awesome.
So let's write more tests.
Sweet, let's do it. We can test like tabbing focus. So for instance, let me go to my app quickly. If I'm on this input and then I hit tab, we see the focus moves to search. So we can actually write the test and make sure that that works. So let's go ahead and copy our test. Let's say tabbing works. Let's go ahead and just delete this for now. Well, so we will still fill the form, and then here we're actually going to hit the tab key and then see where we end up. So we'll use our page fixture from Playwright test so we can get access to the keyboard. And then we'll do page.keyboard.press tab. And then let's find out where we're focused.
Question right away. So this page is actually being used to mount the components. So this is the page that we see when you debug the test.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we'll do expect here, and then we'll run some JavaScript in the page to actually get the active element. And we'll get the tag name.
Yep.
And then we expect that to be button, right? So we were on, we're in the input, we click tab, now we should be on the button. Ready, debug test. Cool. And then call mount.
Okay, yes, I see the blue thing, right? This is your focus.
Exactly.
So
and
focus should move as I tap.
Moves over.
Yes. Now I see it. Yeah, awesome. Okay. This is very nice.
So that's another, we can check keyboard interaction with our components, which is super cool. Cool. So one other thing we can check, right, is when we actually use the whole app, not like part card or search, but when we use our app component, it does some networking. And we could write a test that leaves the networking in there, but that wouldn't be hermetic. So we can actually mock that out using Playwright test. So we're not hitting a live backend.
I know, using the request interception, basically.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and write that test out.
Is it complicated?
It's not too bad. Yeah, we can just use our built-in interception from Playwright. So we'll do interception on the page, and then we'll also call our mount fixture.
Friend mount
equals mount here, and we'll just make our app. We have to, I think, actually import this. Cool. I'll have VS Code help me out there. Awesome. And then we are going to find our input. We're going to fill Playwright into it. We're going to await that so it actually
so it actually works.
And then we'll click our button. Okay, and then we will expect, let's say, the page to have some park that we've mocked. So we'll say component to contain text some made up.
So you can run it. Let's run it. Let's see.
It
should fail, right?
Yeah, it should fail.
Oh, it will wait for 5 seconds now. Waiting for this text. It will never appear there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually hit the back end. But so
okay.
Let's actually go up here and let's do some mock routing. So we can route the request to the parks endpoint.
Yep. So you get the route here.
Yeah. And then we'll just, instead of actually letting it hit the network, we'll just fulfill it ourselves. I wrote the function for the API, so I actually know what we need to return here just off the top of my head. It will be an array of parks that have an ID, a name. We want it to search for, we'll call it just Playwright, and then description.
Yay.
Some made up. Cool. And then let's do a content type here. This is gonna be
application JSON. Yeah. Comma. Yeah.
Awesome. So now we're gonna rerun this test, but instead of hitting the network, we should actually hit our intercepted page route here. Let's go ahead and do it. Cool.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I can actually use all the Playwright APIs to control the browser while mounting my components inside the browser.
Exactly.
Very nice. Okay. Yeah. Was it the last thing you can show me today?
Oh yeah. So we are, using a browser. So all of Playwright's emulation, like light and dark mode and different viewports, responsive design, we can show that off. So we'll go ahead and do a describe block here. And then in here, we will say, let's actually change from our default viewport.
Yep.
We'll do width of, 400 and then height of 900.
And
then let's also test while we're here.
Just for fun.
Yeah, dark mode at the same time. And now let's actually write a test. So I'm going to just
did you support dark mode in your application?
We do. So
nice.
We'll see it in a second when we do the screenshot test. So let's actually, I'm going to take
the search component.
Yeah, I'm going to take our test. Actually, we want the whole test, right? So
yeah.
The whole test. And then here we'll do a screenshot at the end of just the component. So you have screenshot our new web first insertion. And then let's go ahead and run this test. Okay, so it failed, but it just says is missing in snapshots writing actual. So we can actually go and check out the snapshot. And we can see we have dark mode support.
Beautiful.
Which I implemented in our Create React app. And then also as you shrink the viewport down, it stacks it nicely. Yeah. So that's an example of using all of the Playwright emulation features and then potentially a screenshot test in there as well.
This is awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Ross. I think this was the last demo. Was it the last demo, right?
Yeah, this is it. But I'm sure everyone will think of more things to test. So if you have questions, post on GitHub, comment in Slack, and it's going to be cool to see what people come up with for tests. Is a really awesome new capability for Playwright, I think.
So I actually have a special slide specifically for this. So the documentation that Ross used, the one that he used to copy the command from, is actually available at aka.ms/playwright/components. So learn more there. If you have any issues, feel free to file them at our GitHub repository. And please give us a feedback at either our Slack channel, our Twitter account, or maybe like below in YouTube comments. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks, Ross. It was awesome.
Awesome, thanks. Take care.
Thank you.